My wife went to a college reunion she hadn't seen in 10 years, and she specially wore the silk dress I had given her. It was 2 a.m. and she still hadn't returned. She wasn't answering her phone or replying to WeChat messages. Worried, I called her best friend. It was noisy on the other end of the phone. Her best friend, Linyu, stammered, sister-in-law? She left with the class monitor a long time ago, saying she was going to a hotel to catch up. Which hotel? My voice sounded like it was filled with ice. It's the Hilton next to the class reunion. The moment I hung up the phone, I felt as if all the blood in the world had frozen in my heart, leaving it cold and heavy. Su Qing and I have been married for 5 years. From having nothing to settling down in this city, I believe I have never treated her unfairly. I am the founder and chief programmer of a small software company. After years of hard work, I have finally gotten the company on the right track. Everyone envies her for marrying well, and she always seems content, gently taking care of everything for me. I once thought our relationship was unbreakable. It turns out that was just what I thought. My class monitor, whom I hadn't seen for 10 years. We caught up at a hotel. These words were like poisoned daggers, piercing precisely into my most vulnerable spot. I grabbed my car keys and rushed out of the house. The midnight wind blew into my t-shirt, but it couldn't dispel the burning rage and fury that threatened to engulf me. I floored the accelerator, and the car shot towards the Hilton Hotel like an arrow. Countless thoughts flashed through my mind. Should I rush in, kick down the door, grab those two, and then what? Fight them? Or calmly gather evidence and make her leave with nothing? I'm a programmer. My world is made up of logic and code. The more urgent the situation, the calmer my mind becomes. Anger is instinctive, but solving problems requires the optimal solution. I parked my car in the hotel's underground parking lot, but I didn't go up immediately. I sat in the car, forcing myself to calm down. I needed evidence. I couldn't nail someone to the pillory of shame just because of anger and imagination. I took out my spare phone and logged into a special account. Several lines of code scrolled rapidly across the screen. Soon, I had access to the hotel's internal network. This wasn't hacking. A few years ago, I had conducted a security assessment for this hotel's parent company, leaving a legitimate backdoor for future maintenance. I never expected it to be used in something like this. I skillfully retrieved the check-in records from the front desk. Chen Feng, Deluxe King Room, Room 1708. Check-in time, 11:35 p.m. tonight. Su Qing had mentioned this name before. It belonged to their all-powerful class monitor. Next, I retrieved the surveillance footage from the 17th floor corridor. Fast forward to around 11:40. The elevator doors opened, and a tall man in a well-tailored suit stepped out, half embracing a woman. The woman was wearing the dark green silk dress that I had given to Su Qing. She seemed to have drunk too much. Her steps were unsteady, and she leaned her entire weight on the man named Chen Feng. Chen Feng supported her, a smug and impatient smile on his face, and swiped the door to room 1708. The camera recorded the entire process of them going in. The door clicked shut, cutting off everything outside. At that moment, I felt my heart stop beating. The video was there, silently playing the most humiliating moment of my life. I watched it 3 times, every detail searing onto my retina like a branding iron. From the hazy blush on her face to Chen Feng's improper hand around her waist. It turns out that my rock-solid love was just a fragile joke. 5 years of mutual support couldn't withstand the pain of not seeing an old classmate for 10 years. Without further hesitation, I encrypted the video and the front desk check-in record, packaged them together, and sent them to my private email address. After doing all that, I got out of the car and walked into the hotel lobby. I didn't go straight to the 17th floor, but went to the front desk instead. "Hello, my wife is drunk in room 1708. Could you please open the door for me?" I tried to make my tone sound anxious but restrained. The receptionist politely declined, saying, "I'm sorry, sir, but for the privacy and safety of our guests, we cannot open the door without permission. I am her husband, Yi Gucheng." I gave my name and showed him my ID card and our wedding photo on my phone. "Her name is Su Qing. You can check. This is my wife. I'm really worried about her." After checking, the receptionist still shook his head apologetically. Sir, the registered person for this room is Mr. Chen Feng, and we have no record of your wife. Rules are rules, and we really can't open the room. I nodded to indicate that I understood. Well then, I said, pulling a wad of cash from my wallet, about $10,000, and pushing it in front of her. I'll wait here. If the door to room 1708 isn't opened for me from the inside in 10 minutes, I'll call the police and say I suspect my wife is being illegally detained inside. When the police arrive, the hotel will probably be in much more trouble than this little tip I'm giving you now. My voice was calm, but the coldness in my eyes made the receptionist shiver. She glanced at the money, then at my unwavering face, hesitated for a few seconds, and finally picked up the phone and dialed the floor manager's number. A few minutes later, a manager in a suit rushed over. He had clearly learned about the situation from the phone call and, after weighing the pros and cons, chose the option that was most beneficial to the hotel. Mr. Yi, we will make an exception this time. But you must promise that you will not cause trouble in the hotel. I just want to bring my wife home, I replied expressionlessly. The manager, holding the universal room key, led me and two security guards towards room 1708. Standing at the door, I could hear my own heart pounding. Behind that door lay the end of my 5-year marriage, the grave of all my trust and love. The manager took a deep breath and swiped the door open. With a soft beep, the door opened. The room was dark, with only a dim nightlight by the bedside. The air was thick with the scent of alcohol and an indescribable, ambiguous atmosphere. On the bed, two figures were entangled together. The dark green silk dress that I personally chose for Su Qing was now lying on the carpet beside the bed like a rag. My wife, Su Qing, lay naked in the arms of that man named Chen Feng. Hearing the door open, Chen Feng, who was in bed, suddenly woke up. He sat up like a startled rabbit and instinctively pulled the blanket over himself and Su Qing. Su Qing slowly woke up. When she saw me, the manager and security guards behind me, her eyes first showed confusion, then fear, and finally turned ashen. She opened her mouth, but couldn't utter a single word. I looked at her, the woman I had loved for 5 years. Every trace of panic on her face, every inch of her exposed skin, seemed to be silently mocking my foolishness. Put on your clothes, I said coldly, my voice hoarse and unlike my own. Then, I turned to the equally naked man, Chen Feng. He clearly recognized me too. After all, Su Qing had posted quite a few photos of us together on her WeChat moments. A hint of panic flashed across his face, but he quickly regained his composure. Mr. Yi, what do you mean? Trespassing is illegal, he shouted, his voice trembling with fear. I ignored him, took out my phone, and pointed the screen at him. It was playing a surveillance video of him half embracing and half carrying Su Qing as he entered the room. Breaking the law? Are you out of your mind? This is a hotel. Before you discuss the law, why don't you explain what you did to my wife? Chen Feng's face turned deathly pale instantly. Seeing the commotion, the hotel manager knew he couldn't stay any longer. He said to me in a low voice, Mr. Yi, this is your family matter, so we won't disturb you any longer. After saying that, he and the security guards quickly left, considerately closing the door behind them. There were only the three of us left in the room. A deathly silence. Su Qing frantically started looking for clothes, her body trembling, and she didn't dare to look at me. I walked to the bedside, picked up the dark green dress, and threw it to her. Su Qing, my voice was devoid of any emotion, don't you have anything to say to me? She dressed shakily, tears streaming down her face like a broken string of pearls, repeatedly muttering, it's not what you think. Lonely city, let me explain. Fine, I pulled up a chair, sat down, and crossed my legs. I'll listen to your explanation. You go ahead, I'm listening. I'd like to see what other versions of catching someone in the act I haven't thought of. Before Su Qing could speak, Chen Feng, who was standing next to her, couldn't hold back any longer. He hurriedly put on his pants and shirt, walked up to me, and adopted a negotiating stance. Yi Guqing, right? I admit, I was wrong in this matter. But Xiao Qing and I are truly in love. She's not happy here with you. All you ever do is talk about your code and your company. Have you ever given her any real care? He even tried to turn the tables on me. I laughed, a laugh that felt a little cold. True love? Your love is built on betraying my marriage? And what right do you, an adulterer, have to judge how my life with her is? Every word I spoke felt like a knife. Chen Feng was speechless, his face turning pale and then flushed. Guqing, don't do this. Su Qing finally finished dressing. She rushed over to grab my hand, but I dodged her to the side. She collapsed to the ground, tears streaming down her face. I drank too much. I really don't know how this happened. Chen Feng has always taken good care of me, even back in school. So what? I interrupted her. So, after 10 years at the class reunion, you were so moved that you slept with him right away? Su Qing, do you think I'm particularly easy to fool? My calm and indifference seemed to frighten her more than my hysterical roar. She shook her head frantically. No. He said your company is going to fail and you owe a lot of money. He said he has a way to help us and can give me a large sum of money to help you make a comeback. Hearing this, my heart sank. My company? My company, Guqing Security, maintains a low profile, claiming to develop ordinary enterprise application software. However, its core business is network security and data encryption, and its technology is among the best in the industry. In recent years, our business volume has steadily increased, and our profits are considerable. Forget about debt, the cash flow we have is enough to make many listed companies envious. To avoid worrying Su Qing and to maintain our technological advantage, I never told her the true situation of the company, only that it was a small company barely making ends meet. She never asked, and I took it as her trust in me. In retrospect, this not asking questions concealed a contempt and distrust that I had never noticed before. Chen Feng said my company was going to fail, and she believed him? An old classmate I hadn't seen for 10 years overturned our 5-year marriage with just a few words. This is the most ridiculous joke I've ever heard. He said he could give you a large sum of money? I looked at Chen Feng, my mockery undisguised. Did you win the lottery or is your family rich? As far as I know, Chen Feng, you currently work at Skydome Technology as a project manager, earning a maximum annual salary of 700,000 or 800,000. After deducting mortgage and car loan payments, how much money can you come up with to help me make a comeback? Chen Feng's expression changed instantly. He hadn't expected that I knew so much about his situation. How did you know? If you don't want people to know, don't do it in the first place, I said coldly. At Skydome Technology, you're in charge of their core security product line. And Skydome Technology is currently my company's biggest competitor. Now, tell me, what exactly is this so-called helping me? My words were like a thunderclap, exploding in Su Qing and Chen Feng's ears. Su Qing's crying stopped abruptly. She looked at me in disbelief, then at Chen Feng. Chen Feng could no longer maintain his composure, and his eyes were filled with panic. I stood up and approached him step by step. Let me guess, I said, my voice low but filled with menace. You approached Su Qing, instilled in her the illusion that my company was on the verge of bankruptcy, promised her money, and made her despair about our future. Your ultimate goal wasn't her as a person, but my company's core code, wasn't it? You're talking nonsense. Chen Feng was still stubborn. Nonsense? I raised my phone again and opened another file. It was an audio file. Brother Chen, do you think Guqing's lousy company really has such valuable technology? Su Qing's voice came through the audio. Of course, Xiaochang, he's just a tech geek, he doesn't know how to run a business. That encryption algorithm is his brainchild. The boss of Skydome said that if you can get your hands on it, he'll give you 3 million upfront and another 2 million after it's done. If his company goes bankrupt, then you can use this money to help him pay off his debts, and the two of you can start over. Isn't that better than now? Chen Feng's voice was full of temptation. But I always feel like this is betraying him. Fool, how is this betrayal? This is saving him. When he has nothing left, and you are still by his side, he will be grateful to you for the rest of his life. Besides, you have sacrificed so much for this family, it is only right that you receive some compensation. The recording is very long and clearly documents how Chen Feng set up the trap step by step, and how Su Qing gradually wavered and eventually succumbed to it. This is a small program I installed on Su Qing's phone through a backdoor, which silently recorded all her phone calls. I originally intended it to guard against corporate espionage, but I never expected that the first person I would use it on would be my wife and her old classmate. Upon hearing the recording, Su Qing collapsed, her face ashen. She knew it was all over. All explanations seemed so pale and powerless in the face of irrefutable evidence. Yi Guchun. You actually monitored me. She screamed hysterically at me as if she had grasped at the last straw. I wasn't monitoring you, I said, looking at her with only cold disappointment in my eyes. I was monitoring a thief who was trying to steal my company's trade secrets. I just never expected that my wife would be his accomplice. I turned to Chen Feng, who was already drenched in sweat. Manager Chen, now let's talk about the legal issues. Commercial bribery and theft of trade secrets, according to my country's criminal law, if the amount involved exceeds 2.5 million, it is considered an exceptionally large amount and can be punished with 3 to 7 years in prison. You just mentioned it yourself in the recording, 5 million. That amount is enough for you to spend several years in prison. Chen Feng's legs went weak, and he almost knelt down. No. Don't call the police. Yi Guqing, let's settle this privately, he said urgently. I don't want the money, I don't want anything. Please let me go. Let you off the hook? I laughed. You ruined my family and tried to undermine my company's foundation. Now you want me to let you off the hook? Do you think that's possible? I stopped looking at them and walked straight to the door. Su Qing, I stopped in my tracks without turning around. Meet me at the Civil Affairs Bureau at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Pack your things and get out of my house before I get back. After saying that, I opened the door and left without looking back. Behind them came Su Qing's heart-wrenching cries and Chen Feng's desperate pleas. But none of this matters to me anymore. Stepping out of the hotel, the early morning air was icy cold. I took a deep breath, but felt no relief whatsoever. The thrill of revenge is fleeting, followed by a deeper sense of exhaustion and emptiness. I thought this was the end, a dirty, melodramatic, but clean and decisive ending. I was wrong. This matter is far from over. Returning to my empty home, every corner still held traces of Su Qing's presence. The sofa we chose together, the flower arrangements she loved, the succulents she grew on the balcony, everything that was once so warm and cozy now seemed like a silent mockery. I spent a sleepless night. After daybreak, I called Lao Lu, the company's administrative director and my confidant, and asked him to come to my house, along with the company's best legal counsel. Old Lu and lawyer Zhang arrived quickly. Old Lu was startled when he saw my bloodshot eyes and dejected appearance. Mr. Yi, what happened? I didn't say anything, but simply played the video and audio recordings from the encrypted email for them. After reading it, the office fell into a deathly silence. Old Lu slapped his thigh in anger. Those two. They're utterly despicable. President Yi, this can't be left like this. Attorney Zhang, however, remained calm. He adjusted his glasses and said, Mr. Yi, from a legal perspective, we have ample evidence. We can pursue Chen Feng's criminal liability, and in the divorce proceedings, we can have Su Qing, as the party at fault, claim damages and force her to leave with nothing. I shook my head. Not enough. My voice was very soft, but Lao Lu and Attorney Zhang could hear the chill in it. That's too easy for them. Old Lu was taken aback. So what you mean is? I looked out the window at the rising sun. Its rays were dazzling, yet they couldn't warm my heart. Sky Dome Technology is the real mastermind behind this. Chen Feng is nothing but a dog, and Su Qing is a fool who was used. What I want is not just to put them in jail or get a divorce. I want Sky Dome Technology to pay the price for their greed, and I want them to know that what's mine is not so easy to take. A mad flame burned in my eyes. This fire was not only meant to burn Chen Feng and Su Qing, but also to reduce the sky behind them to ruins. Attorney Zhang frowned. President Yi, Tianqiong Technology is a listed company, dozens of times larger than us. It will be extremely difficult to bring it down head on. Moreover, they will definitely push all the responsibility onto Chen Feng personally and sever all ties with the company. I know. I stood up and paced around the living room. So, we can't take the conventional route. I looked at Lao Lu, how's the company's Nuwa project coming along? Old Lu's eyes lit up instantly. The core framework is complete, and we're currently conducting final stress tests and vulnerability checks. You mean? Project Nuwa is our company's secret next-generation network defense system. It overturns the traditional firewall logic, not passively defending, but actively trapping. Once a hacker or spyware intrudes, it will not immediately remove it, but will build a perfect virtual environment, a honeypot, making the attacker believe that they have succeeded. While the attacker is stealing confidential information, it will reverse infiltrate to obtain all the attacker's data and command sources. This system represents my life's work and forms the foundation for Lone City security over the next decade. I originally planned to release the system to the market in another 6 months, once it was perfect. But now, I've changed my mind. I want to use this unfinished Nuwa to prepare an unprecedented gift for Tiancheng Technology and Chen Feng. Old Lu, go back immediately and extract the data encryption part from the Nuwa system. Make it into a module that looks flawed but is fully functional. I want it to look like spoils of war left behind after a hasty attack. Attorney Zhang, prepare all the legal documents. I need you to send a lawyer's letter to Tiancheng Technology in the name of the company, stating that we suspect them of unfair competition. Don't mention Chen Feng and Su Qing, just mention them vaguely to put pressure on them. After I've done all that, I paused, my eyes sharpening like knives. I'm going to spread the word that Lone City Security is about to go bankrupt and be liquidated because its core technology was stolen and the founder's family is going through a crisis, causing its cash flow to dry up. Old Lu and Attorney Zhang exchanged a glance, both seeing shock in each other's eyes. Mr. Yi, are you trying to put yourself in a do-or-die situation? Old Lu's voice trembled slightly. No, I shook my head, a cold smile curving my lips. I'm not trying to kill them. I'm trying to create an abyss and then push them down into it myself. This is a crazy plan. If we fail, my company will be doomed. But when I thought of the scene between Su Qing and Chen Feng in bed, and when I thought of the despicable methods of Sky Dome technology, I could no longer suppress the murderous intent in my heart. A true man should act swiftly and decisively, seeking justice and avenging wrongs. If I cannot make the enemy pay a bloody price, then the name Yi Guqing is meaningless. At 9 o'clock in the morning, I appeared at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau on time. Su Qing also arrived. She was dressed in all black, her eyes were swollen like walnuts, and her face was completely bloodless. It was as if all her energy had been drained away overnight. When she saw me, her lips moved as if she wanted to say something, but in the end she lowered her head. The entire divorce process was incredibly fast. There were no arguments, no entanglements. I had already had my lawyer draft the property division agreement. The house, car, and savings were all mine. The company I founded had absolutely nothing to do with her. Her only request was that I not pursue criminal charges against Chen Feng. Guqing, I'm begging you one last time. She looked at me humbly. He was just confused for a moment. He has a wife and children at home. If you ruin him, you're ruining a family. When I heard the words wife and children, I almost laughed out of anger. A married man sleeps with other men's wives and steals other companies' secrets, and now he expects me to pity him? Su Qing, I said, looking at her and enunciating each word clearly, do you know why my name is Yi Guqing? My parents died early, and I grew up alone. So what I hate most is betrayal. You shattered all my illusions and warmth about the word family with your own hands. Now, you want to talk to me about another family? Don't you find that ridiculous? As for Chen Feng, there is only one outcome for him, disgrace and a lifetime in prison. He deserves it. After saying that, I ignored her desperate look, took the dark green divorce certificate, and turned to leave. As I stepped out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, the sun was shining brightly. Suddenly, I felt that the sky didn't seem so gloomy anymore. The net of revenge has been cast. And I am the most patient hunter. For the next week, I practically lived at the company. At my behest, rumors about Gucheng Security being on the verge of bankruptcy began to circulate within the circle. Have you heard? Yi Gucheng's company had its core code stolen. That's not all, his wife ran off with someone else. He's in a terrible state now, looking for investors everywhere, but no one dares to take over his business. What a pity, his encryption algorithm is really amazing. If only we could get our hands on it. The public opinion escalated faster than I had anticipated. Some partners began to hesitate, and 2 small clients even directly requested to terminate their contracts. The company's employees were also filled with anxiety. Old Lou comes to me every day to report these bad news, his face full of worry. President Yi, if this continues, will collapse before Sky Dome Technology even takes the bait. Don't worry, I said without turning my head, staring at the progress bar of the Nuwa project on the computer screen. Fish will bite the hook no matter what when they smell fish. Zhou Tianxiong, the CEO of Sky Dome Technology, is a notorious gambler. He let this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity slip by. To make the performance more convincing, I even actually met with several VC's venture capitalists. Of course, I had already spoken to them privately beforehand. All we had to do was put on a show of being unable to find investors for the outside world to see. At the same time, Attorney Zhang's lawyer's letter was also sent to Tianxiong Technology. This vague lawyer's letter, like a pebble thrown into water, created huge ripples within Sky Dome Technology. They were feeling guilty, so they naturally assumed we had some substantial evidence. Chen Feng became their only breakthrough and scapegoat. I used a previously implanted program to listen to the conversations between Chen Feng and senior executives of Sky Dome Technology. Chen Feng, what exactly is going on between you and Yi Gucheng's wife? They've even sent a lawyer's letter to the company. Zhou Tianxiong's furious voice came through the phone. President Zhou, please let me explain. I do have a personal relationship with her, but Yi Gucheng has absolutely no evidence that our company was involved. He's just bluffing us. Chen Feng's voice was filled with panic. No evidence? Then what does this lawyer's letter say? Let me tell you, Chen Feng, this is your personal matter and has nothing to do with the company. If you dare to drag the company into this, you know what will happen. Zhou Tianxiong's voice was extremely cold. I know. President Zhou, please give me another chance. Yi Gucheng is now deserted by everyone, and his company is about to collapse. This is the best time for us to get his algorithm. As long as we get the algorithm, our company's new product can be launched immediately, and the stock price will double. What is this little storm? Chen Feng was still trying his best to promote his plan. He wanted to make up for his mistakes. Zhou Tianxiong on the other end of the phone fell silent. I know he's interested. For a gambler, the risks are often overlooked in the face of huge profits. Sure enough, after a few minutes, Zhou Tianxiong coldly said, Fine, I'll trust you one more time. I'll give you 3 more days to get your hands on it. But remember, do it cleanly. If you slip up again, you can expect to disappear from this world. After hanging up the phone, Chen Feng breathed a sigh of relief, but what followed was even greater pressure. He's like a mad dog pushed to the edge of a cliff. His only lifeline was obtaining my company's core code from Su Qing. That evening, I received a call from Su Qing. She told me through tears that Chen Feng had found her and said that if she could help him one last time and get the data from my computer, the 5 million he had promised would still stand, and he would also use his connections to get her a job in the legal department of Tianxiong Technology, giving her a respectable position. Gucheng, I'm at my wit's end. My parents found out about us and want to cut ties with me. I can't find a job, and I don't have a penny to my name. Chen Feng said this is my only chance. Her voice was filled with despair and struggle. So, you agreed? I asked calmly. There was silence on the other end of the phone. This silence is the answer. The last shred of pity in my heart vanished completely. Some people are never worth forgiving. My computer is in the study, and there is no password, I said casually. You know what to do. After hanging up the phone, I looked at the folder I had named Pandora on my computer screen, and a cold smile appeared on my lips. Inside is the stripped-down version of the new core code that I carefully prepared for them. A deadly bait that could send them to hell. Su Qing moved very quickly. Late that night, I received an alert from the Nuwa system. Someone stole all the contents of the Pandora folder by copying it using a physical USB drive. The alarm log clearly shows that the IP address of the computer being used is my home network. Looking at the scrolling data on the screen, I felt no anger, but rather a sense of accomplishment. Su Qing, you finally made your choice. A choice that will push yourself, that man, and the behemoth behind him into the abyss. The next morning, Skydome Technology held an internal meeting without hesitation. I listened into the entire meeting using the listening program on Chen Feng's phone. President Zhou, this is the complete source code of Yi Guqing's Guqing No. 1 encryption algorithm. Chen Feng's voice was full of flattery and excitement. Have you had someone verify it? Are there any problems? Zhou Tianxiong's voice carried a hint of caution. It's been verified. Our CTO led the team, stayed up all night, and confirmed that the code logic is complete and the core architecture is completely consistent with the intelligence we had before. Although there are a few minor flaws, they should have been left by Yi Guqing in a hurry, and they are harmless. We will be able to fix them soon. Great! 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 Zhou Tianxiong exclaimed 3 times, his elation barely concealed. Immediately set up a project team to perfectly integrate this algorithm into our new product, Sky Shield. Marketing department, get ready. In half a month, I'm going to hold the grandest product launch ever. I want everyone to see who the king of cybersecurity is. A round of enthusiastic applause erupted in the conference room. I listened to all of this quietly, as if watching a farce that had nothing to do with me. They thought they had obtained a dragon-slaying sword, but little did they know that it was actually a cursed magic box. From then on, everything unfolded exactly as I had planned. Skydome Technology's stock price has been rising steadily due to news of an upcoming revolutionary new product launch. Meanwhile, Guqing Security remains silent amidst rumors of bankruptcy, as if it had already resigned itself to its fate. I laid off most of the company's employees, leaving only Lao Lu and a few core technical personnel, and told them they would have a month of paid leave. I sold my car and listed my house with a real estate agency, making it seem like I was completely broke. Everyone thought I had lost, but I had lost miserably. Even Su Qing started to believe it. She called me again, her tone carrying a hint of condescending pity. Guqing, Chen Feng gave me the money. He said that Skydome Technology will acquire your company soon, and he'll give you a sinecure as a technical consultant out of respect for me. Don't be too sad, life has its ups and downs. I hung up the phone immediately. It's a waste to say a single word to someone who has lost their soul. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. The day has arrived for the launch of Sky Shield 1, a product from Sky Shield Technology. The press conference was held at the city's most luxurious international conference center, a grand event that invited hundreds of media outlets and numerous industry leaders. Zhou Tianxiong stood under the spotlight, full of confidence, passionately describing how Sky Shield 1 would change the landscape of the entire industry. Chen Feng, as the project's chief person in charge, also sat in the most prominent position on the stage. He was dressed in a suit and tie, looking very pleased with himself, and had the air of a successful person. I didn't go to the scene. I sat alone in the empty office of Lonely City Security, with 3 monitors in front of me. The screen on the left is a live broadcast of the press conference. The central screen is the main control panel of the Nuwa system, where a red button is quietly flashing. The screen on the right displays the real-time data stream from Skydome Technology's internal servers. The moment Zhou Tianxiong shouted on stage, "Now," I announced that Sky Shield 1 is officially online, and pressed the start button. I also pressed the red button in front of me at the same time. "The trial begins," I said softly. In an instant, the Sky Shield 1 promotional video that was playing on the giant screen at the press conference venue suddenly turned into a blinding snowflake. Immediately afterwards, the snowflakes disappeared, and a line of large, scarlet text appeared on the screen. "Welcome to hell, you thieves." The entire audience erupted in uproar. Zhou Tianxiong's face instantly turned ashen, and he roared at the backstage area, "What's going on?" Cut off the signal immediately. But it was too late. The text on the screen changed and began to scroll through surveillance video showing Chen Feng half embracing Su Qing as they entered the hotel room, accompanied by an audio recording of his conversation with Zhou Tianxiong. "Mr. Zhou, as long as we get the algorithm, our company's new product can be launched immediately." "Okay, I'll trust you one more time. Make it clean." The irrefutable evidence laid bare the scandal of Sky Dome Technology stealing its rival's technology through commercial espionage, exposing it to all the media and guests. The flashbulbs went off like crazy as reporters swarmed around the stage, making it impossible to move. Zhou Tianxiong and Chen Feng's faces looked worse than dead men. But this is just an appetizer. The real show is on the right-hand screen. What I activated was the core counterattack module of the Nuwa system Purgatory. The Lone City No. 1 algorithm that they treasured was actually a carefully disguised Trojan horse. The moment they integrated it into their product Sky Shield and officially launched it, they essentially gave me the highest level of access to all their company's servers. The Purgatory program, like an invisible ghost, wreaked havoc in Sky Dome Technology's data center. It didn't delete the data that would be too easy on them. What it does is cover. It irreversibly overwrote all of Sky Dome Technology's core data, including customer information, financial statements, product codes, etc., with meaningless gibberish. Even more ruthless, it also discovered Tianqiong Technology's secret overseas accounts used for falsifying accounts and transferring assets. Then, in front of everyone, it transferred all the funds in the accounts to more than a dozen international children's charities under the guise of anonymous donations. The transfer records were simultaneously displayed on the large screen at the press conference. Every transfer was like a resounding slap across Zhou Tianxiong's face. The entire room fell silent. Everyone was speechless in amazement at this incredible feat. Zhou Tianxiong stared at the account balance on the screen, which was steadily decreasing to zero, then his eyes rolled back and he fainted. Chen Feng, on the other hand, seemed to have lost his soul, slumping into his chair and muttering to himself, "Impossible, this is impossible." The press conference turned into a scandal of the century. Tianqiong Technology's stock price plummeted to its daily limit immediately after the market opened, and continued to do so for several days in a row, wiping out 90% of its market value and effectively ending its business. Zhou Tianxiong was taken directly from the hospital by police on suspicion of multiple crimes, including commercial crimes, financial fraud, and money laundering. He will face severe legal punishment and enormous debts. Chen Feng's fate was even worse. Not only did he face imprisonment, but his scandalous affair also spread throughout the industry, and even his wife received anonymous emails containing evidence of his affair with Su Qing. I completely destroyed his life. And I, Guqing, and my Guqing security transformed overnight from a bankrupt loser into a god in the entire industry. Everyone now knows that the seemingly honest and unassuming tech geek is actually a fierce tiger who knows how to be patient and strategic. The Purgatory program that destroyed Sky Dome Technology demonstrated a level of technological prowess that terrified everyone. Lone City Security is no longer a small company, but a deity in the field of cybersecurity that reshapes the rules. Orders poured in like snowflakes. Clients who had previously dropped out were begging to work with me again, offering 3 times the price. Countless top VCs were waving checks, trying to squeeze into my office. I became the ultimate winner, winning in my career and regaining my dignity. I had thought that the thrill of revenge would give me satisfaction. But when I stood alone atop this lonely city that I had built with my own hands, I felt an unprecedented emptiness in my heart. I won the whole world, but the person who once shared my joy betrayed me. Just when I thought everything was settled, Lao Lu suddenly found me with a complicated expression. "Mr. Yi, there's been an unexpected situation." He handed me a document. When I opened it, my pupils suddenly contracted. That was a medical diagnosis report. Patient's name, Su Qing. Diagnosis, stage 4 malignant glioma of the brain. Estimated life expectancy, no more than 3 months. The diagnosis was made a week before the class reunion. My mind went completely blank. How so? I immediately mobilized all my resources to investigate the truth of this matter. Soon, I obtained all of Su Qing's medical records from the past few months, as well as recordings of her conversations with her attending physician. The truth, like a knife sharper than betrayal, pierced my heart. It turned out that Su Qing had known all along that she had a terminal illness, and an incurable one at that. She didn't want to be a burden on me, didn't want me to watch her wither away, and didn't want to spend all our savings on pointless treatments. So she chose the most extreme and foolish way to make me hate her. A class reunion is an opportunity. Chen Feng's appearance is more like that of a perfect tool. She wasn't seduced by Chen Feng's money and lies at all. She was actively cooperating with him, putting on a show. A show that would make me completely give up on her and eradicate her from my world. She thought my company was really on the verge of bankruptcy, and she wanted to use Chen Feng to exchange her last value for funds to help me make a comeback. She didn't want to keep that 5 million for herself, she wanted to leave it for me. In the recording, she told the doctor, "My husband is a very proud man. He built his business from scratch, and the company is his life. If he knew I was sick, he would do everything in his power to save me, and the company would collapse. I can't be that selfish. Rather than let him die slowly with me, I'd rather let him hate me and then live a good life." The doctor advised her, "You should tell him the truth, and face it together." She cried, "I don't dare. I'm afraid to see him sad because of me. I'd rather he think I'm a bad woman than have him live in pain and despair every day." All the clues came together at that moment. Why did her eyes show more of a relieved, lifeless look than panic when I grabbed her on the bed? Why did she ask for nothing in the divorce proceedings, only begging me to let Chen Feng go? Because she felt that Chen Feng had helped her and was part of her plan. Why did she call me specifically to provoke me after she got the money? Because she wanted to make sure that I truly hated her to the core and would never go back to her. I thought I had set up a flawless scheme and had everyone under my control. I thought I was the hunter who controlled everything. In the end, I was the most ridiculous pawn. I defeated my enemy, but lost the only person I ever loved. I fulfilled her most humble wish in the cruelest way. She succeeded. I truly hated her. And I truly did live my life well. And she, alone, in some corner I don't know, awaits death. Regret, pain, remorse, all the emotions overwhelmed me like a tsunami. I slumped into a chair, feeling as if all the strength had been drained from my body. I won, but I don't feel happy at all. My heart is empty. That empty space is called Su Qing. I rushed out of the office like a madman. I had to find her. I used all my connections, hacked into all the transportation, hotel, and payment systems, and frantically searched for her. Finally, I found her check-in record in a cheap hotel in a small seaside town. I immediately drove there, covering hundreds of kilometers in just 3 hours. When I kicked open the door to that dark and damp room, Su Qing was lying weakly on the bed, holding our photo in her hand. Her hair had begun to fall out, she was so thin that she was unrecognizable, and her face had lost its former radiance, leaving only a deathly pallor. When she saw me, for the first time, genuine panic appeared in her cloudy eyes. How did you get here? Shouldn't you hate me?" Her voice was barely audible. I walked step by step to her bedside, my legs went weak, and I knelt down. I, a man who never sheds a tear, am now weeping uncontrollably. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." I held her cold hand, and I couldn't say anything else but those 3 words. She stared at me blankly, her cloudy eyes beginning to fill with tears. You knew all along?" I nodded frantically. She laughed, a laugh more painful than tears. "You're so silly. What good does it do to know? There's no going back." Cough, cough. A violent coughing fit made it almost impossible for her to breathe. I held her tightly, as if I wanted to meld her into my body. "No, we can go back. We can go back. I'll take you to America, to the best hospital in the world. I have money, I have lots and lots of money. I can save you. I can definitely save you." I screamed incoherently. Su Qing gently shook her head in my arms. "Lonely city, it's no use. My time has come." With her last breath, she stroked my cheek. "Don't be sad for me. I'm so happy for you now that you're so successful. Forget me, live well, find a good girl, and start over." Her words gradually faded into silence. The hand that had been stroking my cheek fell limply to its side. The person in my arms was getting colder and colder. I held her in my arms, sitting in that dimly lit room, from day to night, and from night to dawn. My life has achieved a thrilling and exhilarating victory, much like a satisfying novel. But at that moment, my world completely collapsed. I became a legend in the eyes of others, but I lost forever the only human world I wanted to protect. Outside the window, the sun rises as usual. But my lonely city has lost its sunshine. 3 months later, Lonely City Security held a press conference to announce a decision that shocked the entire technology community. The company will donate 90% of its shares to establish a charitable foundation named Ching. The foundation will be dedicated to research on brain diseases and assistance to impoverished patients. At the same time, Ye Guqing announced his resignation as CEO, stating that he would only serve as the chief technology advisor for the foundation and the company for the rest of his life. From then on, the business world lost a ruthless business tycoon and gained a reclusive tech eccentric. Some say that Ye Guqing went mad, giving up everything at the peak of his career. Some say he is atoning for his sins. Only I know the answer. I haven't given up on everything. I just want to spend the rest of my life fulfilling her last wish. I conquered the world, but I know that from the moment she closed her eyes, I had already lost everything. At least for me, the price of this victory is a regret that I can no longer bear. My isolated city is as solid as a rock, but the lady who knocked on the door will never come again. In the empty castle, I am left alone, guarding endless regret until the end of time.